Hi, and welcome to Cockatude, Cockatoos with Attitude. Hello, everybody. I'm flying solo right now. I don't know where our moderators are, but they're probably having internet problems. That never happens, right? This is our little boy that got in a scuffle with someone while I was taking Bob inside. I was only gone for a minute, but that minute cost me about 3 days of hard labor. I'm still working on him, but his tongue is okay now, isn't it, boy? Now the hard part is keeping him from chewing. His activity level's up. He's eating well. He couldn't eat terribly well for the first 48 hours. Right, boy? Right, KK? KK bird? KK bird. Welcome, everybody. I can't see your names without turning the phone the other way. I wish they would fix that, but I can't see them. So, welcome. Glad you're here. And those who are going to follow after later on when they get off their out of their slavery, I mean their jobs. KK, I wish you wouldn't beat your beak right now. See, this is the problem. Once they start to feel better, then you got to watch them pretty close. It's one of the dangers of being, the sole caretaker. When you have to take them in, there's a chance they can get into a fight. Right now, the tres amigos malos, the three birds that are the most territorial, are in the house. So, what we have with us today, Romeo was out yesterday, but I have to tell him to get him back inside so he doesn't come out the next day. We have Mander. Mander is out, and we have Jasmine and Snowball and Lucy. I heard that bird. I know this is the KK. And there's the seesaw and the shug bird. The other three have to come out together, and I have to keep the water pistols handy for those three. So, yeah, if you can't get to a vet when you're in a situation like that, the most important thing is not to panic. So, like it says at the in the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Universe, don't panic. Hitchhiker's Guide to the
Oh, hi everyone.
Hello.
I'm here, sort of. Oh, I've got my camera on. I'll turn that off. Yeah, I'm sort of here. I'm running on low battery, but I'll do what I can.
I'm sort of on low battery mentally. Let's see. I'm trying to fix the layout. Oh, come on. They changed it now. Bear with me a second. Out to settings. Let me out of here. Layout. There we go. All right. I fixed that.
Well, everyone in the chat agrees that cockatoo tongues are very strange.
What was that? I didn't quite hear you.
Everyone in the chat agrees that cockatoo tongues are very strange-looking things.
Well, they have a bone and they have muscles that we only have on our fingers, extrinsic and intrinsic. So they're more than just a tongue, really. The problem with a tongue injury is if it swells too much, they'll suffocate. So that first 24 hours working with that tongue is the most important. But, and I was able to contact, are you going to climb down on me now? That's really weird of you. That does not seem like the sugar I know. It's climbing down on me. What are you doing? No, you're trying to cause trouble. Because I want to get petted. I'm not trying to cause trouble. I hear you. But no, I can't pet that beak. I can't do it right now.
Ooh, ooh, wine, wine. She's right on your head. Oh my goodness.
Hmm.
Oh my.
I don't know about you, kid.
Well, we can say hello to some of our chatters. We've got Spirit Matter and Natty Gems. I think that's Natalie and James. We've got Tiki Tiki. We've got Falcon Sue, Calvin Thurston, Book TR Shah. So hello all of you guys. Lovely to have you.
Hello.
And it's Natalie's birthday tomorrow. So happy birthday for tomorrow.
Oh, happy birthday, kiddo.
Oh, and she sent us $5. Thanks very much.
Oh, thank you. Um, where did they move it? Oh, there it is. Oh, they're always moving things now. So, oh, we've improved it. Yeah, I can't find what I'm looking for. Come on, you can work. I'm just looking at a blank screen there. All right, sugar. All right. Good grief. Good grief.
Oh, she's
So,
very birthday.
so Bob is he started his staring thing, and the only you can be in here with every bird except KK. If KK is in here, he's going to do his staring routine. You feel like you're walking down the street in Compton, you know, because you're just constantly telling him, "Don't stare, don't stare." So finally, I had to put him into that little carrying cage I usually have in here. I don't need it in for this group, but in case there's an emergency. So he was good in there about a half an hour. Then he started screaming. So what I did was, I picked up the cage and I was taking him inside. I took him inside, and when I came back out, let's see if I can do this. No, I hit the wrong button again. They put them too close to each other, so you just automatically tap the wrong one. I came back, and on the top of this barrel, which has two water pistols in it, there was blood. And one of the spots, hold on, sugar, I'm working on it. There you go, baby. How needy you are today. You don't usually come down to do this. No, you don't usually. Mm. Sitting near my head is not sugary. It's not the sugary thing. You're feeling out of it or something, girl? So I looked at it, and one of them had what looked like some tissue around it. And so I assumed it was a beak injury, inner beak injury, tongue probably. And I looked around, and as I got to each bird, I got to KK, who was over by the water bowls, and he was bleeding pretty good. So I got the other birds that would be an issue. I got Lorelei out of here, and I got Pippa out, and then I took him in and started working on him. These ones here won't really do anything to bother each other much. They might get a little ticked off at, well, this one gets upset when Cecil gets close to her, but he doesn't do anything. He's just a voyeur. He just looks, you know. Get him out of here, you know. That's the she'll whine about that. So I had to clean up his beak, and it was pretty bitten. You know, it didn't have a chunk out of it, but it was bitten pretty deep. So, of course, this had to happen on a Saturday. You know, and excuse me, what's today? Saturday. Happened on Thursday. The weekend for my vet is Thursday and Friday. That's the days when you can't get a hold of the vet, right? So what I did was, you know, clean it up, flush with a little water to see what's going on. Then the next thing on an oral wound like that, depending on the amount of blood you're seeing, you can use styptic, but you got to be careful. You don't want them swallowing the styptic. So um, you take and you dip a yeah, it sort of sounds like that when you get styptic in your mouth. Good, 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 Suni. That's perfect timing.
Well done, dear.
Yeah, she must have known I needed that. But so I took a Q-tip, which by the way I use Assured now. I don't use real Q-tips. For some reason they've made them so soft that you can't use them on anything. Uh, I'm sure they've got some line of oh, hold on a minute. Bear with me a second. I got to put this thing so that they ah, got it. I'm trying to put on the blocker so the phone calls can't come through because that really causes a problem. Okay. So what the problem with Q-tips, which were always the best, even though right on the box it says don't use these in your ear. Everyone does, of course. Um, we have to thank attorneys for basically covering for their companies, even though they know they're lying. But so you dip it in water and then just get a little bit of styptic on it, and then you have to open the beak, which of course they're pains, so you have to kind of force it open a little bit, and then paint the areas that are bleeding. And if you have a lot of blood flow, it's hard to tell where it's coming from. So again, you have to kind of flush, look, and when you've got the ideas, you know, you've got the spots that you see in the tongue where the bleeding is coming from, which was in two spots for him, not just to both sides, but because of the nature of beaks, he had puncture wounds on two different spots and on each side. So then I had to get the styptic on it and keep doing that until it stopped bleeding, while making sure the airway didn't get clogged. And then when it finally came down to a trickle, I don't use cornstarch for any other part of the body, but in the beak itself, that's your best bet. Once you get a trickle and you're not having a lot of blood flow, then you want to use cornstarch. Well, I was doing that for the next 2 days. After he would eat, it would bleed, and he couldn't eat well. I made a thin, what you do, you need to have KT exact around hand feeding solutions so that if you get a bird that has an injury like that, or it needs to be hand fed, you have a way to do it. Because you're not like you can run down most places and buy the stuff, so you need to have some on hand. And as soon as you open the container that day, you reorder. That way, when because you're going to be throwing that canister out. Get a bigger canister too. Don't get a small one. Figure out, oh, well, if I have to do it, it'll only be. No, you want to either get a 2-pack or get a larger canister of it, because at some point you'll be making that up and putting it in their bowl. With a tongue injury, you don't want them eating anything that could cause abrasion on the tongue, because they'll take their tongue and rub it across the inner portion of their beak. So while they're doing that, they're rubbing it across their beak. It's causing abrasions inside on the tongue. So I made up about 25 milliliters of that, kept it at about 102 degrees, which is not too hot. The problem with if it's too hot, actually, no, when it's first day, I kept it about 85 degrees. And then later on, I brought it up to 102, which is normally where they like it. If it's too warm, you know how if you're bleeding and and if your hand gets warm or wherever you're bleeding from, what'll happen? Okay, tell them what happens. It opens up the wound again, right? So I had it at 85 degrees for the first day, and then so again, I'm watching. I'm giving cornstarch if it's bleeding. At one point, I had to put in some more styptic because one of the spots was a pretty deep wound, and it was, yeah, you know all about it, don't you? It happened to you, didn't it? Yeah, it did. So at that point, I'm uh, putting in the styptic to stop that, and once it back down to a trickle again, back to cornstarch. The thing about cornstarch is it may cause a little gagging, but you're not going to choke to death on it. Now, the next thing that's going to happen is, obviously when you have something like a digit that gets bitten, there's a chance of infection. There's also a chance which can cause swelling, but non-steroidal drugs like meloxicam, minoxidil, all the variations of that. Aspirin, can't give it to bird. I'm mentioning things humans, not talking about human stuff. Anything like naproxen that humans use can cause you to bleed. So if you've got a bleeding tongue, you do need to get that swelling down, but you got to be careful. You got to time it right so that you don't cause more bleeding. So for the first 12 hours, I could not give him minoxidil, even though I had it on hand. Meloxicam, variations, the name, but same thing. I couldn't do that until the next day when the bleeding, well, I fed him and it trickled a little bit. Cornstarch solved it. And then I looked at the swelling and it didn't like what I was seeing. It was starting to get swollen. So by that point, I gave him minoxidil 0.20. Um, and it didn't start bleeding again. So I got lucky there. You have to balance it. Well, am I going to take a chance that it might start the bleeding? Well, if the tongue is swelling and you have a blocked airway, you got a problem. So at that point, I gave him the minoxidil, and the whole time I'm going back and forth with Chat GPT. It drew up charts to make sure I would do things at the right times. By then, I was able to get a hold of the vet. And she was in surgery. She had an emergency, but I was able to get a bottle of Baytril injectable. And when you have something like this, you're not going to be given a medicine orally if you can avoid it. And besides, you want something a little stronger. So at that point, he's once a day now, he gets 0.30 of Baytril injected into his chest muscle, one time on the left, next time on the right. 5-day regimen. I may push it to 7. We'll see how things look, but usually 5 days on injectable Baytril's enough. Um, all the toys. The other thing you have to think too. You're going to put him back in his cage. We got to take all the toys out of it. Nothing he can chew on, right? So I had to take all the toys out of his cage, all the hanging toys, all the foot toys. He couldn't have any wood because this is a chewing maniac here. If he can chew, he's going to do it, even if it causes him to bleed. So I had to take all the toys out of his cage. And then at night, a little night nurse cage, in this case, just an open carrying cage with a towel over all but one side of it so he can see me. And then he got to sleep next to me. And basically, I was listening in my sleep for any sounds that would be an indication he was having trouble breathing, which didn't happen. Mostly what I heard was KK, KK bird, 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 KK good bird. He was just saying that. Then he went to sleep and he'd move around a little bit here and there, but no problems. So I mean, it's all started on Thursday, and as you can tell, it's Monday now. So I'm still dealing with. I'm going to be dealing with his issues for at least another 3, 4 days. Uh, he was only getting KT exact. This morning he got KT exact. I gave him 20 milliliters of KT exact at 102 degrees. And then I took the mash he normally gets and mashed it up so it's really all mashed. There's nothing solid in it. I put that in his cage. I put water on his birdie biscuits so those were soft and gave him those. So he actually has food in his cage for the first time. You want up, Cecil? Come on. Come on. Hi, Amy. Um,
Hello, everybody. Sorry for being late.
it's all right. I was running around. And oh, and yesterday, on top of all of this going, you never know what's going to happen, right? I have gout. And the first time in almost a year, it hit me hard on my right foot. And I was stumbling around. And all I had was a few of these pills. The VA is, they are so nice to you. They give you enough for or for 3 months. But if you don't reorder in that 3 months, you have to go through this whole process of emailing the center, telling them I need this. And so I emailed them this morning saying, well, I've got some old stuff from last year. I'm going to use that until you guys can get me the actual prescription. And don't tell me I can't do that because I'm going to anyway. And I said, I need you to send me. And so it'll take them 4 or 5 days. It'll get here after I don't need it. And I'll be taking out of date meds for a while. I just double up on them. Instead of taking one, I take two. But so I'm hobbling around trying to make sure he gets everything he needs. And then I'm dealing with this guy he had to have his shot this morning. So and he's got his medicine he has to have twice a day, along with a shot every 3 days. Oh, we'll try to make sure this guy's tongue is healed. It looks good today, doesn't it? Yeah. It almost looks like a normal tongue.
It's like they come in threes, isn't it? So there's Cecil and KK and Don all in the ward,
Yep.
like buses in the UK.
Yeah, he just started preening last night. He started preening again, so that was a good sign.
Yeah.
I hear you, sugar, but you're almost on my shoulder now. Almost.
She
She's
thinks
sitting on the
can't let the white birds have all the attention.
They can take over the camera though. What do you? No, don't eat the camera. I don't know about you. Now the big
Oh,
deal is watching him to make sure he doesn't chew on anything for the next 2 days. I can give him soft things like paper. He likes to chew on paper. I can give him egg cartons. Don't use egg cartons that have been used that had eggs in them. You have to buy fresh ones. You can get those through Amazon. But it's soft paper that he can chew. I'm still trying to avoid that, but by tonight he'll probably be climbing the walls, so I'll have to give him something to chew on. So I'll use the egg crates. These are the soft cardboard egg crates. You can get them off of Amazon. They come in a box of 100, I think. But so now it's just keeping the swelling down, making sure no infections happen, keeping him away from chewing. Now, when you go to a vet, honestly, there isn't much they can do. What they will do is give you an anti-inflammatory, but they'll probably hold you off on using it right away. Um, they might give you an oral antibiotic. Best to get injectable, but a lot of vets just, they're not they don't feel good about having some newbies sticking needles in their bird. So my vet was great. She's just, she's in surgery, but she tells the tech he knows how to do injections. Give him a bottle of Baytril. So I got a bottle of Baytril so I could do it. And then the other comment was, "Can you dose it?" Yeah, I can dose it, no problem. So I know how to do the math, but 9 times out of 10, it's just easier to take a picture of the bottle, tell Chat GPT what you need, and then it'll do the math on screen for you.
Well,
But
that's good.
normally it'll say you need to ask your vet for that. And I just said, my vet is in surgery. She can't give me that information. So it did.
Well, it's important to learn this kind of thing because, like with Cecil, with his injections every 3 days, can you imagine if you had to go to the vet every 3 days to do an injection? I mean, it would cost so much money. Like, you'd be bankrupt.
Yeah. And on top of that, it's the rest of their lives, pretty
Yeah.
much. You may be able to stretch it out. Dr. Jenkins was saying that with him, because it's the liver that's doing the enlarging, um, you were talking about x-rays. That's because we live in the US and they're still using old tech. They don't know what new tech is. If we were in, I know one country where they'd use a CT scan. That's just naturally what they do with animals. But here, are you kidding? Oh, we're still using x-rays like they were back in the 30s. So every time you expose anyone to x-rays, you're taking a chance of causing a malignancy somewhere. So that's
Well,
why.
it's even worse with the CT, isn't it? Because it's just like basically taking hundreds of X-rays all in one go.
Yeah, except it's a much lower dosage. X-rays tend to be a pretty heavy dose each time, where CT scans, it's actually a lower, you get a lower effect. Obviously, it would be better to put them in magnetic imaging, but that's just that's not here for animals yet. I mean, there are a few vets that have that kind of thing, but so until I can get him back in a reasonable amount of time to see what the state of his organ growth is, and if it's reduced enough, then I can cut him back to every 5 days. But even at the perfect condition for a bird, you're still talking once a month, and the likelihood of getting to once a month is pretty small. On top of it, we're still working. We're still working on the on trying to come up with a dosage that we can set. So this is the current uh, dosage that Dalhousen has worked out, and it's what Jenkins is doing. But we're not set on it yet. Every 3 days works. Maybe it could be every 4 days, but right now we know that every 3 days works. So that's what's being done.
Banana.
I don't know how often you give a banana, but
Oh, sorry. I just like, do you want another banana? Do you want a banana? Didn't realize I'm not muted.
that depends on how much potassium the bird needs. A lot of potassium in a banana. That's funny. I basically not allowed to eat an avocado because they're so high in potassium. But lately, the foods I've been eating have been so low in potassium that I could actually have an avocado. The problem there is that literally I would have to quarter it because it would be too much potassium at one time for my kidneys. But so what good is a quarter of an avocado?
Yeah, like you could just eat a quarter anyway. Like as soon as you saw that avocado, you'd just go crazy and you'd shove it in your face all in one go.
I would have a tendency to do that, although I'm trying to stay alive for the birds. So the thing about avocados too is that once you cut them open, they go bad fast. So just stay away from them. If I need extra potassium, I do something like V8 low sodium. don't let Hey, what are you chewing on that? Oh, that's okay. Sorry. Is that you like to chew the chair? I know, but it's not your best choice. Yeah, he's hammering my arm, and I don't think that's going to hurt his tongue. But
But this is hanky panky. But it's hanky panky with Don.
yeah, it's handky panky.
Hanky
Um,
panky.
yeah,
Yeah, because Natalie was just asking if the birds can have babies. And we said, well, they could, but Don keeps an eye out for hanky panky in the aviary.
yeah, yeah. So this one, he's going to be much more attached to me now because he's been in a night cage. I've been hand feeding him. Once you start doing that, they get overly attached to you. He still gives me a little trouble when I try to bring up a milliliter syringe, though. He's okay with the 60 milliliter syringe because it's got food in it. But when I bring up a small one, it's medicine. So he still fights me a little on that. And now I got to be careful. I can't be touching his tongue with the syringe. So I have to try to get into his beak and get it in there without touching the tongue. Yeah, kind of a magic trick. Now, if you panic and you can't get to a vet, which is probably going to be the case because that's Murphy's law, right? It's going to happen when it's the vet's weekend, whether the vet does a standard Saturday and Sunday, or like my vet, our vet, she does a Thursday, Friday. That's when you can't get to them. So what are you going to do? I had the minoxidil on hand, but I couldn't use it right away. I'd keep Baytril around, but injectable Baytril doesn't last that long on the shelf. Um, like this bottle. Once I'm done giving it to him, throw it out because it's got about I think that has a 3-month lifespan once you puncture it. So I might be able to keep it around for another emergency. But um, so generally, you don't have that on hand. I will probably ask for some, but it'll just sit there and get thrown out. But it would have been nice to have that the first day. Is that bothering your tongue? Why are you doing it then? Why are you doing it if it's bothering your tongue? Because you have to? Mm. Yeah, so the reason, you have to keep the house warm too. That's another thing. I had to turn up the thermostat. I live in the desert and I had to turn it up so the minimum temperature was 75 in the house. So, which is fun because that messes with my medicines that I keep at specific temperatures. Yeah, it kind of stresses the medical containers. So by morning, I'm starting to get alarms on my phone from the extra sensors that are Bluetooth that are telling me that the temperatures are approaching critical. They're not really; they're a degree away, but that's how I have it set. So, but if you don't do anything, if they get a bite on the tongue, then what could happen is that tongue will eventually swell. Um, might develop an infection, and then they're just going to suffocate on their own tongue. So you have to start working on it. So if you're not comfortable handling a bird's beak, well, you better get that way, right? You can also throw a towel around their head, cover their eyes, have their beak out. You still might get bit. If you know how to handle a beak, the odds are pretty small. I mean, almost never happens to me. I say almost because there's always that chance. I haven't had it happen recently, but at some point, you're going to have to pry the beak open, see what's going on, flush it. And if it's just you, that means one hand with holding it around their head, the towel around their head, the other one picking up the water bottle. It's best if you have one that has that kinked straw on it that you can press the water out through. That makes it easy. Hard to find those online now, um, unless you go into a vet supply or a medical supply. Dentist supplies have them too because they use those to flush your mouth. But if you don't, if you just cross your fingers and hope it's going to get better, that's not a good. You need to clean it. And if you have nothing else, you can use a saline solution, about an eighth of a teaspoon of, and you can confirm. Hey, don't chew the chair. Stop it, Cecil. He's got a thing about that chair. He just wants to eat it. Let's see if I can switch the camera. Turned it off again. He wants to eat this chair. He wants to pull the stuffing out. And once he actually starts doing that, then I have to take it out of here. Because it looks like it's some kind of polycarbonate fiber, which isn't good for them. So it can impact their crop. And then you've got a bird that's starving to death. So it's going to leave if you keep it up. Sitting there is one thing, chewing on it's another. Cecil. So a little salt water will help, and then make sure you have some cornstarch around because that's normally what you use to stop bleeding in the beak area. Um, what have you got in there? Oh, part of a pea. Okay. Oh yeah, you're regurgitating for me. Yeah, that's what I should expect. Now KK is starting to regurgitate for me. That's because he's next to my cage at night. Basically he's sleeping next to me. So
He's next to your cage. Huh? That suggests the viewer that you're also sleeping in a cage, which would be awfully funny.
well, we humans
We
tend
know
to live
what you
in
mean.
yeah we humans tend to live in boxes, but we drive around in boxes. We live in boxes. There was a time when humans just roamed free, but not anymore.
Well, if you were a monk, you could live in a cell. Or
Yeah,
a...
yeah, you could.
I think this KK is feeling a bit too good with all his knocking and regurgitating. My
Well,
goodness.
that he's had a lot of personal attention for 2 days. So let me look at your tongue. That's all right.
No wonder Shiggy's jealous.
So obviously, if you can get to a vet right away, the vet will go through what I'm talking about and basically tell you how to take care of it. But the vet won't be there all the time, so you'll have to apply things to stop bleeding. You'll have to give some kind of antibiotic and some kind of anti-inflammatory. I actually had Chat GPT draft up charts so I could just bring the chart down and mark what I've done. So yeah, charts kind of like what you see in the medical profession. It just creates them for me, so I don't have to go through trying to format a chart with specific, information. It has all the columns for things that I have to do with him. I have charts like that for Cecil too, don't I, Cecil? But I don't think most people would even know there was a problem. But if you saw some of those pictures from after he got bitten, you would be horrified. Okay, well, apparently Cecil found that half of a pea and decided he was going to eat it. So you guys,
I'm glad I don't have to regurgitate to feed my child.
It does make more sense than the mammal way of doing it, though. It really does. But
Yeah, but still.
okay, okay, let's not mess with each other's beaks. Okay, I know you're not going to do anything that's going to hurt him, but we're kind of leaving his beak alone right now. Of course, now I have to decide. I think later today I will introduce soft paper toys in his cage. And I think tonight he'll be sleeping in his cage, but we'll see. If he has no more bleeding all day, and then I'll leave him in his cage.
So we have a viewer question, Don. So
Sure.
Natalie wants to know, how would you know if a cockatoo had an impacted crop?
It'll generally be hard instead of soft. That's something I'm glad you brought that up because that can happen when you have trouble with eating and you're having trouble getting water in there, which I had with him for the first 12 hours. So yeah, you feel it should be soft. It should be somewhat ballooned and soft. If it's hard, you guys know no beaking. Stop the beaking, please. Um, you can't mess with his beak right now. I know you're being nice, but you can't do it. Um, you're a good bird, Cecil. You're a good bird. It's a good boy, but no beaking. You can bite my finger if you want, but no beaking. You want to bite my finger? Are you? Hmm? Get the beak away. No beaking. Yeah, so you feel for any hardness there. And obviously, the other side of it is they're not pooping. If they have an impacted crop, you're going to see maybe you might see some water or maybe some urates coming out, but you're not seeing solids, and that's an indication. But before you get there, you'll feel a hard crop, and when you feel his crop right now, it's soft. So, um, of course, yesterday, and I was happy about this, although it makes me sound weird, but I'm sitting in here and he's sitting on me. He decides to climb up on the rope above me and then he pooped on me. So I took a picture because that way I had a good picture of what his poop was like. And then a little later, he had what was basically a normal poop. The first one was it was about 80% fluid and the rest was urates and solids. So the next time it was pretty much equal the way it should be. I passed those on to Chat GPT and it said they were normal and went into a long discussion of that. Meant his digestive processes were all starting up. I knew this, but you always want a second opinion. Fortunately, I have an AI that can give me a second opinion. So mm, it's usually better than mine. But you guys, why do you want to do the beak thing together? Let's not do that right now. We're keeping beaks apart. We're keeping beaks apart. Okay. He hurt his beak. You know that. You probably saw it happen. You know who the culprit was. Oh, I'm sure KK was involved in it too. I'm putting my money down on Pippa, though. I think Pippa did it because yesterday she was the hardest one to control in here.
Oh
With
wait, I thought it was Babalu.
No, Bob wasn't in here.
Oh, so you were taking Bob out?
I was taking Bob out when it happened.
Oh,
Bob
I
was
see.
not in. So it had to be either Lorelei or Pippa.
Ah, Pippa.
And yesterday, Pippa I had to hose her down because she went after Lorelei, and I just hit her with a water pistol for a while until she finally realized she's going to keep getting wet until she stopped. So Bob was the instigator because Bob would not take his eyes off of KK, and that's why I had to, eventually had to take him out of here because then he started screaming on a Sunday, screaming at the top of his lungs just every 2 seconds. Rah, rah. And once he starts doing that, he won't stop. So I'm taking him in. I get back out here, and the problems happen. So normally, if you have, a husband and wife team, that kind of thing, one will stay out to watch the birds, come out and make sure they're okay while you're, man the water guns, as it were, while you're away. But I don't have that option. So who is dropping things on me? Uh, no, you're not supposed to do that. Come here. No, no, come here. No, no, not chewing things. Come here. No, no, no. No, you're not supposed to chew anything. Come here. Come on. Come on. Come on. Let go. Come, no, no, not that. Come on. No, no, come on. Get down from there. KK. No, we're not doing that. You're not going to chew on anything. Come here. Come here. Come on. It's not good for you to do that right now. We don't want any bleeding. Chewing on hard stuff is not going to go on for a while. Thank you. It's just what I wanted, Cecil. Well, yes, KK, I know you're a bird. Cecil, I don't know what it is about you. Don't do it. No. You can come down here. Come on. Come on. Nope. I know, KK, it's no fun when you can't chew, is it? Well, I know. I know. Yeah, that's the other issue you have to face is an impacted crop. And if they can't get food through their crop and you don't realize it, then you could end up with a. You want paper? I can do that. Here. You're allowed to chew on paper. You want to chew on some paper? You can chew on paper. See, even with a small child, you can tell them don't scratch or something, but you can't. With a bird, you can't tell them, no, you can't chew. That's what they do. So to give them something it's not going to hurt them like a piece of paper, but you're in that KK. Yeah, thank you, Cecil, for dropping something on my head. Um, there's people who are not going to get into that situation because, oh, I'm not going to put my bird out there. Well, the problem there is what you end up with is that's like saying, I'm not going to let my child ever leave the house. they need to get out and they need to, socialize. So otherwise, they can't be birds. What's left of them? I mean, they're raised in captivity, so they're not really birds as we know them, but they have no chance of experience in the world at all if you're going to keep them locked up all the time. Right now, I'll be breaking them off so that the tres amigos malos will be out here by themselves, and I'll be sitting here like Doc Holliday with my water guns to deal with their aggression. But easy enough there. Lorelei won't go after Bob, so if I just bring them out, make sure that Pippa's the last one out and the first one in, I should be solving that problem. And Bob can't be out with KK anymore because he can come out with all the other birds, but not with him. So he's just going to have to come out with Lorelei and Pippa. But they're enjoying the extra space, that's for sure. So you cannot have all the paper from my pocket. No, you're not going to take it all. Who is this? Who is this? All right. Go ahead. Go on, KK. You can have it. This is not the first time I've run into a tongue bite. Bob was being a pain in the rear one day, and he got Cosmo upset, and Cosmo bit him on the tongue. So I've had to deal with this before, but I was better prepared for it this time. So think about it in advance. You don't want to be saying, "What do I do next?" in that situation, right? KK Bird. Yeah. In some ways, this is the toughest spot because I've got him now where he's back to basically behaving normally, picking up weight, eating on his own for the most part, and yet now he wants to chew on things. So I woke up at one point last night. I heard him chewing on the bottom of the cage, and I had to stop him, get his attention, break his attention, so he'd stop trying to chew. And you can see he's quite the chewer, aren't you, big boy? Yeah, it was partially logical deduction. The day it happened too, I had 11 birds in here. Basically, they were all in here, so I had to just go by deduction, and I was able to get. I knew it wouldn't be sugar, and I just went like that down the line, and then I checked the three that it could have been, and it was the ones that were closest to the barrel too, and it turned out to be him. It can happen fast though. They get into a quick tussle and then they separate, and they need their out time though. They need to come out here. This group is not going to get into any kind of a fight. But well, yeah, you looked over here, didn't you? She goes, I'm a scrapper. She's territorial. She's not going to go looking for a fight. It has to come looking for her. But right, Lucy? Lucy. Snowball. You having fun?
Is that Romeo who is playing?
Hmm?
Or is it Cecil? I saw a white bird playing and wondered who that is. Cecil.
That's Cecil. Yeah.
Mm. Do we
Romeo
have
wouldn't come out.
Romeo?
He
Oh,
wouldn't come. He wouldn't come out. He came out yesterday, but I have to towel him to get him back in. He gets so
mhm.
afraid he won't step up. So once you towel him, he's afraid of you for at least a day. So
Mm.
I towel him and I talk nice to him and I pet him as I take him in, but it doesn't
Yeah,
matter. Once he's had the towel, he just doesn't trust you.
tail shake.
The sugary tail shade.
Yeah, she has the most magnificent tail flash.
She does. Yeah, we had an award-winning head shake in Cosmo too. She had the best head
Mhm.
shake. Chloe had a good one too, but not quite as good as Cos's, but pretty close. What you doing there, big buddy? What you doing? See
No,
if I
that's a
can.
pretty calm group. Since KK accepts the Moluccans.
Yeah, he does now. He pretty much accepts them. He still doesn't like them to climb down on me, but I mean he doesn't go after him the way he used to, and he'll sit next to one. Yeah, his tongue doesn't look too bad. It's the swelling is way
Mhm.
down. There's almost no swelling on it now, but
Excellent, KK.
you can still see scabs on it though. And until those go
Mhm.
away, I'm not taking
Yep.
any chances. Where are you going?
But he really wants to play now.
Yeah, he does. No, we're not
He
chilling
says
on
that
that.
I'm
No,
bored.
no, no. This is going to be my next couple of days working on keeping him. No, we're not chilling on that. That's wood. No, 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 no. No, there I go again. He's not happy about that. What do you think you're doing? I'm a bird. I have to chew. Oh, you're not going to go after another one. Yeah, he is. You can have my paper. You want to chew on paper? Here, more paper. Well, thanks everybody for being here. Thanks Eleanor and Amy for moderating. And I hope you guys got some insights on what to deal with a tongue injury. Just keep
Yes,
in mind
you Don,
when you
for
go.
keeping us updated and telling us about KK and what one can do if something like that happens, since it's even more difficult when it's in their beak.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I had to watch for salivating too. If they're having trouble swallowing, they'll salivate a lot. That's a good indication when you see them salivating a bunch that they're having trouble swallowing their food, so or liquid. I'd give him water and then he'd start salivating. So that was on my schedule too to check for salivation. That only lasted a couple of hours and then he started to be able to swallow. So but the key was timing that minoxidil, getting that anti-inflammatory in there not too early and not too late, and I got lucky there. So he hadn't bled for 12 hours, and I gave it to him. So that was my count, right around 12 hours. So anyway, thanks for watching. I'm going to keep my attention on my two sickies here, and yeah,
And
thanks for
on
dropping
yourself.
out. That's all
Bye-bye.
right. Bye. See you guys next time.
Science knowledge only adds to the excitement, the mystery, and the awe of a flower.
Evidence is evidence. It's public. Everybody can look at the evidence and assess it, and eventually, if there's enough evidence, come to the same conclusion.
The Chloe Sanctuary for Parrots and Cockatoos, a nonprofit charity dedicated to the empowerment of captive parrots and public awareness.